Hey everyone, this is Jess and I'm back with a new video for you today. I wanted to talk a little bit about Photoshop brushes and digital art. I've been asked a lot about what kind of brushes I use and whether people can get the free brushes that I used to give away, which were watercolor brushes. And I wanted to talk a little bit about how the brushes are not what makes great digital art. It's all about you, the artist. So I very rarely get to show you some finished piece of art that I've done, but this is one of them. This happens to be a personal piece of art of mine that I took many hours doing, creating this piece of art. I really love classic cars and I love corgis, and so I thought it'd be fun to put them together. And I really wanted a challenge of doing something shiny and photorealistic. So on this particular piece of art, I only used two brushes. And the two brushes that I used were the regular Photoshop brushes that come with Photoshop. And if you go up here under general brushes, I literally used soft round and hard round, and those were the only brushes I used on this piece of art. So it just goes to show that you don't have to have fancy brushes with lots of texture to create good art. And if I just zoom in here real quick, you can see up close what the brushes really look like. And for the car, I mostly used the hard round. And then for the corgi, I used the soft round brush. And it was really about spending hours and hours looking at the colour from my reference photos and just attention to detail. That's why it took me so long to create this art, is because I spent so much time focusing on colour and not worrying so much about texture of brushes, but just on being accurate in my colour. So, zoom out again. I do have that watercolour texture on here right now, which I can just show you. If I take this colour out, there you go, you see that texture is now gone. I don't actually use that watercolour texture on my paper anymore very much. I just like to use brushes now mostly. But as you can see now, since I took it out of this group is what has that texture on it. And zoom out, you can see that it's just very bold, it's very photorealistic, shiny. Not having a texture actually is great for this kind of artwork because it really kind of lends to that shiny look that I was going for. So that's that. You don't have to have texture even at all. But I like to have just a little bit. Just kind of makes it feel like more like a real piece of art. And also something that I don't normally do is that if I turn off these color layers, the drawing itself, because what I did was I started with a pencil drawing, scanned it into my computer, and then colored it in Photoshop. And usually I leave my pencil drawing in my art. I very rarely erase it. But for this one, on this personal piece of art, I wanted just a really bold colour. So I ended up erasing a large majority of the drawing. This is all that's left of the drawing. So not very much, as you can see. I ended up doing a lot more colour. So go ahead and turn these back on. And anyway, so that's one extreme. So that's just to show you, you do not have to have fancy brushes to make good art. Okay, and when you really kind of zoom in to this art, it's not very impressive, at least to me. It doesn't look that great when you're really close to it. It's, it doesn't look all that impressive to me, but it's when you zoom out that the whole picture comes together and it looks pretty good, to me. So that's one example. This is another example. on the other spectrum, the other side of the spectrum, is that this piece of art is all about textured brushes. Now, these brushes are the Coyote Webster's brushes that you can download for free on Adobe if you have the latest Photoshop. If you don't, then I really apologize. I hear a lot from my subscribers that they don't have, you know, the latest Photoshop, which I totally understand. It's expensive. But if you are lucky enough to have that, then these are really fun brushes to play with. And it's all about texture here. So I can't tell you what brushes I used really specifically on this because I don't remember. I used so many different textured brushes. I just went kind of crazy with it. Starting with that dark sky background, I think it was some ghost brushes, and I've definitely used some watercolor and splatter brushes. I really loved how the snow turned out. It's just so fun. For the characters, I know I used pastel brushes. If you can see, if you zoom in real close, you can see that texture to the lines. And this was a big build-up of color, a big build-up of different layers of color to get that kind of grainy look I wanted, the different shadows and highlights. I like to use layers in case I'm experimenting with a brush and I don't like how it turned out and I want to turn it off and start again. That happens quite often. That's why this particular piece of art has quite a lot of layers. So, for example, the pink splatter there, that's one layer. I have a layer for my drawing and the outline, shadows. So you can see it's a real build-up of colour, even the snow shadows. So the snow, you can see like that build-up of texture there of the different brushes. So this is just the other extreme. This is a lot of fun, but this is completely different. This is not photorealism. This is a children's book. It is illustration, and it was something I was going for. I wanted that deep texture look. So, but it doesn't mean that one is better than the other. This is still my absolute favourite piece of art I've ever done in my life. Just a personal piece, and all it was the soft round and the hard round brushes that come standard with Photoshop. So I highly recommend that you just find something that you want to draw and focus on that, and then focus on just the quality of the art. Don't worry so much about texture. You can make great art with the most basic of tools. It's not about the tools, it's about you, the artist. That's what's important. That's what you have to invest in. You have to invest time into yourself in making you a great artist. So I hope this kind of clears up some questions and some comments that I had on my previous videos. I don't really get to share finished work with you very often, so it's kind of fun to do that. And I hope that you feel inspired to create your own work now and really do some amazing stuff. Feel free to tag me in it at Jess Bircham Illustration. I would love to see your work. And thanks so much for subscribing and watching my videos. I really appreciate it. And I will be back soon with a new video. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.